Welcome to In Pursuit of Truth. This is your host, Sir Patrick Mack. We've got a ton of new Q posts, and I'm going to get right to them. Keep in mind, I read through these once, so if you want to skip through to the analysis, just click the timestamp below. Post 1398, May 17th, 54 minutes past the hour of 12. Q takes us back to a post from April. It says, trust Sessions, trust Ray, trust Kansas, trust Horowitz, trust Huber, Q. Post 1399, 54 minutes after the hour of 12. We have an older post, looks also from April. Why was this made public? John Huber appointed by, removed by, reappointed by. Why the reboot? Think logically. History books. Post 1400. In response to an Anon, 4 minutes past the hour of 1. The Anon posts looks like a tweet from Mike Pompeo, currently scrolling through Rolling Stones lyrics to name our next spying op. Any requests? This has probably already been posted. Thought it was funny. Q responds, the hard part for us is having to wait for the public to know what we've known for a very long time. There is no bigger threat to them than the public of being awake and thinking for themselves. Why are we here? Q. Adding on to that, at 13 minutes past the hour of 13, post 1401, Q says, what is the common theme when bad news is about to break against them? Stay vigilant. Q. Post 1402, adding on to that, we have a Breitbart link. God bless the United States of America, D5Q. Post 1403, adding on to that. 30 minutes after the hour of 1 p.m. What had to happen first? Think logically. Think DOJ and FBI. Think cleaning. Number 64. Puzzle coming together. We have reached our cruising altitude of 40,000 feet long ago. As we prepare to land, please fasten your seatbelt and make sure your seat back and folding trays are in their full upright position. Q. Post 1404. We have another old post from early May. And as you can see, this is all the updated list of the FBI and DOJ. Anon says, number 64, Q affirms. Post 1405. 57 minutes after the hour of 4 p.m., we have a number code. Post 1406. We have a picture from what looks to be London. And another. Post 1407. Adding on to that with another couple pictures. Post 1408, more pictures. Q says, note the jackets. Time of year. Q, 47 minutes after the hour of 5 p.m. Post 1409. In response to an Anon who says, a theory those pallets were full of smartphones to be distributed. Members, i.e. Hillary, Bill, Hussein, Bremer, etc. These were special phones which the cabal thought could not be tracked or monitored. The cabal needed a new way to communicate after Q exposed their Gmail draft and game forum methods. Hillary was in New Zealand, Five Eyes, not only to raise funds, if that is the true story, but to test out the phones. Under directions of Trump, New Zealand told Hillary that the phones were good. The cabal worked with China's ZTE for these special phones. That is why ZTE was in the news lately. Trump drew attention to them to send the cabal a message that he was on to them. The pics in London show the cabal meeting up after communicating with their secret phones. Just a theory. And Q responds with a picture of a plane at 8 minutes past the hour of 6 p.m. and says, we are everywhere and on. Post 1410, Q adds on to that with some more pictures. What looks to be the Foxconn factory in maybe Taiwan, somewhere in China. I'm going to assume Taiwan. And then we have a picture of, it looks like to be some pallets. Post 1411. Q adds on with more pictures. Post 1412. We have a picture of what looks to be Las Vegas. Post 1413. We're looking at the back end of a space shuttle. Post 1414. We're looking at a really creepy owl, guardian of the Pope, personal in brackets, Q. And post 1415, messages sent, and Q. Okay, let's go back to the beginning, which is a great place to start, and a terrible place to end. Post 1398, and Q takes us back really to a couple posts here. Let me just kind of talk about a couple of these, 1398 and 1399. Q says, trust Sessions, trust Ray, trust Kansas, trust Horowitz, trust Huber. And we're going to talk about all those guys over the next few posts here. And if I may, I just want to move on to 1399. And we had this link here. And this was when Jeff Sessions kind of made the announcement public about John Huber. And Q says, why was this made public? Well, at the time, it was supposed to let the deep state know that they were officially on defense and we were now on offense. And it was going to send them scurrying and making reactive moves, which were going to walk themselves right into traps. Remember, they sued the Trump administration. They sued Russia. Who sues Russia? They sued Russia. Anyway, so John Huber was appointed by Barack Obama. He was removed by the Trump administration when he came in, and that's not that unusual, reappointed by Jeff Sessions. Why the reboot? Because they didn't want people to know that John Huber might have been one of our guys. They needed to sort of make it look like this was Jeff Sessions' deal, and he was going to be defiant of President Trump, and these were his guys, and we were going to do it our way. We were going to nail this guy Trump. We were going to get him. Think logically, history books. Well, this will be one for the history books if it turns out the way we're hoping, right? Let's go to post 1400. And Q is responding to an Anon who posts a Twitter from Mike Pompeo, currently scrolling through Rolling Stones lyrics to name our next spying op. Any requests? Yeah. How about sympathy for the devil? How about paint it black? This has probably already been posted. Thought it was funny. Q says, and this is pretty poignant here, I think. The hard part for us is having to wait for the public to know what we've known for a very long time. There is no bigger threat to them than the public being awake and thinking for themselves. Why are we here? Okay, we all understand this feeling very well. We've rehashed FISA memos, and we keep, the TikTok thing, and yeah. When's it going to drop? And we know that this legal process is just taking forever. But we've also known that we've had to clear out the entire Justice Department and the FBI, the State Department. And it's been difficult to do. And it is hard for us because we're seeing things play out in the news, and I'm going to refer to that in just a minute. Things that we kind of already knew, and it feels slow to us. Now, if you're the average person that is just who knows, you're raising your kid, you're going to college, you're going to school, you're going to work, you come home, you might turn on a little bit of local news, and that's it. And there's nothing wrong with that. But those people are not ready for some of what we've been talking about. And that's going to be real tough. But this kind of got me thinking, think about all these guys up on Capitol Hill that are white hats, and not only having to deal with this, but imagine having to walk by these people in the halls and just know what they're guilty of. To know what they're guilty of, and to know what they've been conspiring in, to know what they've been involved in, and to be able to have to maybe even have conversations in passing with them. It must be really, really incredible. And I have a tremendous amount of respect for the patience that those people show. So while we are a little bit impatient, it is playing out. And, I do think that we should keep a little bit of impatience, because that keeps us making sure that, we want to move forward. We want to make sure that this is getting done. And we, the people, got to make sure that our people up on Capitol Hill are doing their jobs. But yeah, it looks like it's finally playing out. Clearly the deep state's on their defense. And then that takes us to the next post here, 1401. Q adds on and says, what is the common theme when bad news is about to break against them? Stay vigilant. Well, we know what that is. And there's nothing pretty about that, right? It's going to be acting out of some sort. It's going to be acting out. God forbid it be a plane crash or a school shooting or, some lone gunman or some, we don't even want to imagine anymore. We're tired of it, right? That's what we're tired of. It's going to be some sort of sense of projection. And then, of course, we've got this supposed snafu in North Korea. We don't really know where that's going to come from. It'll probably be predictable once we've seen it. But, of course, we don't know where it's going to come from. And let's just hope people stay safe. And, of course, Q is saying to stay vigilant. Now, post 1402. Q adds on to that and sends us a Breitbart link. Says, God bless the United States of America, D5Q. So what's the avalanche coming in? It's this right here from Breitbart. Report. Inspector General would declare FBI, DOJ broke law in Clinton email probe. Investigative reporter Paul Sperry said Thursday that Justice Department Inspector General Michael Horowitz has found reasonable grounds for believing there has been a violation of federal criminal law in the FBI/DOJ's handling of the Clinton investigations, adding that the top watchdog official has referred his findings of potential criminal misconduct to Huber for possible criminal prosecution. In response to growing calls for a second special counsel to probe the Clinton email probe, along with FISA abuses that took place during the 2016 election, Attorney General Jeff Sessions announced in March the appointment of Utah's top federal prosecutor, John Huber, to probe potential wrongdoing. It was revealed this week that the Inspector General's highly anticipated report was submitted for review. Those invited to review the report were told they would have to sign non-disclosure agreements in order to read it. People familiar with the matter said they are expected to have a few days to craft a response to any criticism in the report, which will then be incorporated in the final version to be released in the coming weeks, the Wall Street Journal reported. Multiple reports suggest the report will be made public by the end of May. So is Horowitz about to lower the boom? Is that going to be our D5? Is that our avalanche? Is that our chess move? Is that our checkmate? I don't know. But Q says, trust Horowitz. And God bless the United States of America, indeed. Now Q goes on to add, at post 1403, what had to happen first? Well, we know this. We had to clean out the DOJ and FBI. Think cleaning. Yeah, that was post 64 on Patriots Fight. Talking about this cleaning. We'll see that in a second. The puzzle coming together? Yes, it is. And we saw more pieces just as of yesterday. You remember this from post 1392. Now keep in mind, Anthony Weiner's already in prison. This isn't an indictment. This is an unsealing order. Document 54. What's in those documents? Are they related to NXIVM? This is all happening in New York, right? And New York is Eric Schneiderman. Well, Eric Schneiderman's gone. Looks like they're working on a proper judge in place. Could that be Eric Donahue? Not sure. But it looks like this NXIVM thing is about to bust wide open. It gets bigger every day. Is the puzzle coming together? I think so. It's coming slowly, but it's coming together. And then Q says, we have reached our cruising altitude of 40,000 feet long ago. As we prepare to land, please fasten your seatbelt and make sure your seats back and folding trays are in their full upright position. Q. Ooh, I love to travel, don't you? Let's travel over to the next post, 1404. And that takes you to post 64 that an Anon brings up. And this, of course, is referring to all the different firings and things like that involving the DOJ, the FBI. And let me just note to you here, Peter Strzok, cooperating witness. And Q acknowledges. So you can see that this was a massive, massive undertaking to get this all done. And I can't help but think that now that we're starting to get into this laptop stuff, it's slowly going to come leaking out, and probably progressively. Now, maybe a lot slower than we would like because we're ready for it. But bear in mind, we are working towards midterms. And this has to build momentum into midterms for us, too. These guys are thinking strategically, politically as well, too. We need 4 more years. You understand? And if we just let it all out now, the outrage and this and that, would it be as effective in time for midterms? A very important thing to consider. Okay, let's move on to post 1405. And I don't know what this is. This looks like some sort of file number. Doesn't look like a code. It looks like a file number. Could be a password. Could be a code number. Could be a file. I noticed that this ID was only 87, whereas as you look in there, it's always a bigger number here. But this was just 87. That was the only thing I noticed. But if you have something on that, go ahead and let us know. I did not find anything in my searches yet. Okay, post 1406. Now we're in London, and the picture is titled F-Serve London. So is this field surveillance, maybe? Field surveillance? And why did you lop off their heads? Folks, turn your cameras when you take a picture. It's a terrible picture. Here we go again, F-Serve London, but now it says PS1. Is that PS, Peter Strzok? Are you in London? Where are you, Peter? Again, turn your camera. 2/3 of the picture is not even in there. Turn your camera, folks. Take a good picture. Nobody watches a vertical movie. Just saying. Just saying. Don't hate me. All right, but it looks like it's cold, right? And we get some more London pictures. F-Serve London PS2. PS. Okay. So is this Peter Strzok? Peter Strzok? Was he in London for Operation Crossfire Hurricane? Maybe they realized they needed to get some new phony phones. And in the next post, Q says, note the jacket's time of year. Yeah, it looks cold. So this isn't a current picture. Looks like it might have been back a while back. Now, just a quick thought. This picture seems to be around Piccadilly Circus area, if I'm not mistaken. And I'm almost wondering, if you look back here, to this picture here with the head cut off. Could it be that this is Peter Strzok's phone? Could it be that the information came right off this phone? Not exactly sure, but either way, looks like Peter Strzok was in London. Let's take you over to post 1409. An Anon who says, a theory, those pallets were full of smartphones to be distributed to members, i.e. Hillary, Bill, Hussein, Bremer, etc. These were special phones which the cabal thought could not be tracked or monitored. The cabal needed a new way to communicate after Q exposed their Gmail draft and game forum methods. All right, so if you're new to Q, that's how they were communicating. Remember, knucklehead1@gmail.com. You and I, we share this Gmail address. And everybody's got the password. Everybody in this crew's got the password. But nobody ever clicks send. We just read the draft. You can delete the draft, change the draft, respond in the draft, but nobody ever clicks send, and that way you don't get traced or whatever. Well, they did. They got found out. All right? Meanwhile, you got No Name McCain over here playing League of Legends while he's selling us out to ISIS. They were doing it over these game form methods, okay? Right over these live chats or whatever it might have been. The Anon goes on to say, Hillary was in New Zealand, Five Eyes, not only to raise funds, if that is the true story, but to test out the phones. Yeah, good theory. Could have been both. Under directions of Trump, New Zealand told Hillary that the phones were good. The cabal worked with China's ZTE for these special phones. That is why ZTE was in the news lately. Trump drew attention to them to send the cabal a message that he was on to them. The pics in London show the cabal meeting up after communicating with their secret phones. Just a theory. And Q responds with this picture here and says, we are everywhere, Anon Q. So it is a pretty good theory. Now, is this Peter Strzok we're talking about here? Is this the cabal meeting up about their phones here in London? What do you guys think? I think it's particularly, I think these pictures might be regarding Peter Strzok, but it's a very solid theory. And let's talk about ZTE real quick. ZTE. Let me take you to the top here. There we go. This is off of TechCrunch.com. Here in the States, ZTE has been content with a quiet success. The Chinese smartphone maker has landed in the top 5 quarter after quarter, sometimes breaking the top 3, according to some analysts, behind household names like Apple, Samsung, and LG. Suddenly, however, the company is on everyone's lips, from cable news to the president's Twitter account. It's the kind of publicity money can't buy, but it's happening for one of the worst reasons imaginable. ZTE suddenly finds itself in the eye of a looming trade war between superpowers. Iranian sanctions were violated, fines levied, and 7-year international bans were instated. Wow, that's not good. It's like a story ripped from the pages of some Cold War thriller, though instead of Jason Bourne, it's that one budget smartphone company that you've maybe heard of who maybe makes that weird Android phone with 2 screens. So how did we get here? ZTE began U.S. operations in 1998, a little over a decade after forming in Shenzhen, and a year after going public in China as Zhongxing Semiconductor Company Limited. The change of name to Zhongxing Telecommunications Equipment reflects the newfound focus for the company, which employs around 75,000 and operates in 160 countries. While ZTE has flirted with premium and sometimes bizarre devices in the smartphone world, the company is primarily known for its budget hardware. It's no coincidence that the company was tapped by Google to be the first to run Android Oreo Go Edition. The manufacturer has found particular success in the developing world while making significant gains in the US by releasing dozens of low-cost devices targeted at prepaid users. In recent years, however, the company has come under increased scrutiny on 2 fronts. First, there's the issue of the company's perceived ties to the Chinese government. It's the same thing that stripped up fellow Chinese handset manufacturer Huawei in its pursuit of the U.S. market. In Huawei's case, multiple warnings from top U.S. security agencies have severely hobbled any chance of making significant headway in this country. The company kicked off the year with the 1-2 punch of having AT&T pull out of a deal last minute, only to have Best Buy stop restocking its product on store shelves. ZTE, on the other hand, has run into less headwind there. In February, top officials at the FBI, CIA, and NSA all warned against buying product from both companies over remote surveillance concern and later ending their sales at military bases. But after making significant inroads through non-contract carriers like Boost, Cricket, and Metro PCS, the warnings appear to have had little impact on the company. The same, however, can't be said of a 7-year ban. So, it goes on to say they got hit with a big old fine, $1.19 billion fine. The new punishment bans U.S. component manufacturers from selling to ZTE for 7 years. A few days later, the company told TechCrunch that the export ban would severely impact its chances of survival. And then last week, the company ceased major operating activities. As a result of the denial order, the major operating activities of the company have ceased. It wrote in the exchange filing, as of now, the company maintains sufficient cash and strictly adheres to its commercial obligations, subject in compliance with laws and regulations. In the meantime, the company was reportedly meeting with companies like Google in hopes of figuring out a workaround, while China was said to be meeting with U.S. officials to discuss the steep ban. For some, the ZTE ban was seen as a political move amidst a potential trade war and a major roadblock towards negotiations. Okay, so interesting article here about ZTE. An interesting theory for sure. So, was the cabal getting all these phones from China flown all around the world? And it looks like the Q team's been watching this the whole time. And now we take you over here. And this looks like China as well. And this is labeled Foxconn ZZ. And I'm going to assume Foxconn ZZ would mean Zhengzhou. 2018, man jumps to death at Zhengzhou, China Foxconn facility. Ooh, an uplifting bit. This is off of FoxconnWisconsin.com. Reports of suicides by workers in Foxconn's facilities aren't new. The first of these surfaced in 2009 when a 25-year-old communication worker jumped off his apartment building. Investigations suggested that he had lost an iPhone prototype and was physically and verbally abused by Foxconn's guards. Sounds pleasant. Look, folks, they got nets to keep you from falling. Let me take you over to Fortune.com. From November 22nd, 2017, Apple and Foxconn say they discovered illegal student labor at an iPhone X factory in China. Smartphone maker Apple and its biggest manufacturing partner on Wednesday said that a small number of students were discovered working overtime in its Chinese factory, violating local labor laws. The students worked voluntarily in the factory for more than 11 hours a day as a part of a school internship program at a plant run by Honhai Precision, also known as Foxconn, the manufacturer confirmed. We discovered instances of students interns working overtime at a supplier facility in China. We confirmed the students worked voluntarily, were compensated, and provided benefits, but they should not have been allowed to work overtime, Apple said in a statement. Apple and Foxconn have been accused of poor labor practices in the past, but the U.S. technology giant has been trying to get a grip of such issues, releasing annual reviews of the iPhone supply chain. Okay, so not exactly the most pleasant place to work. But hey, if you're looking for a gig, get your CVs ready. Because Foxconn announces $10 billion investment in Wisconsin and up to 13,000 jobs. Now, this was back in July 2017. Foxconn Technology Group pledged to invest $10 billion to build a display panel plant in Wisconsin that could employ up to 13,000 workers. Foxconn Technology Group on Wednesday pledged to invest $10 billion to build a display panel plant in Wisconsin that it could employ up to 13,000 workers and draw up to $3 billion in subsidies from state taxpayers, a deal that could ripple through the economy and 2018 elections. This is a great day for American workers and manufacturers and everyone who believes in the concept and the label Made in the USA, said an ebullient President Donald Trump at the White House announcement. Okay, so this was a while back, and we've known about this. Now, listen, I just want to express my big concern about this Foxconn. They've had some pretty stiff labor issues, right? And they were battling in Wisconsin with Trump about emissions as well, too, and I don't really remember how that all worked out. But I just want to keep this in mind. And this is off of wirelessweek.com. Trump administration includes 5G in national security outline. The White House this week listed 5G networks, albeit briefly, among its national security goals this week. The administration's first national security strategy, which is delivered to Congress each year, made headlines primarily for aggravating China and Russia, reversing long-standing positions on issues such as climate change and even running contrary to the president's own rhetoric. But one line in particular drew the interest of the wireless industry. The White House listed next-generation networks among its infrastructure priorities under the document's economic development agenda. We will improve America's digital infrastructure by deploying a secure 5G internet capability nationwide, the administration wrote. These improvements will increase national competitiveness competitiveness, benefit the environment, and improve our quality of life. Wireless Industry Group CTIA said that the government would need to open up additional spectrum and ease infrastructure regulations in order to beat rival stations in the race to 5G. CTIA and the wireless industry are pleased that the president's national security strategy acknowledges the critical importance of next-generation 5G wireless to maintaining America's competitiveness, CTIA president and CEO Meredith Atwell Baker said in a statement. So I just wanted to bring that to your attention, as 5G is something that I think we should all be concerned about, no matter what country you live in or where you live. 5G is something that is probably a conversation that we need to be able to have objectively. I'm not a scientist or anything like that, but from what I've been able to understand, it seems very, very dangerous and something that we should all kind of concern ourselves with. So I just wanted to bring that to your attention, because Foxconn is one of those companies that is working very, very hard for 5G, as other companies are, of course. But they're looking to roll that out very, very soon. Okay, so we've got this Foxconn. Looks like we got a bunch of phones from them, and we've got more pallets of phones. More pallets of phones. Looks like they're all in different stages or whatever. For those of you who understand shipping better, maybe you could tell us the difference from the pictures we're seeing here. But it looks like we're seeing a bunch of funny phones on their way out to the cabal. Did we catch them? Let's move on to post 1412. Now we're flying over Vegas. And the picture says LV removed. Now my first thought, of course, was regarding the Mandalay Bay. But then I caught this on the news today. This is from Fox. Las Vegas police say no threat to public after massive mall response. Authorities in Las Vegas on Thursday said there was no threat to the public after an earlier massive police response at a mall after reports of a person with a gun. Shoppers at the Boulevard shopping mall earlier posted images on social media that showed dozens of police cars outside the mall. Video was obtained showing a person with a long gun wearing a mask, Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department tweeted. We've conducted 3 searches and are unable to locate the individuals at this time. Not an active shooter, no shots fired, and no citizens were injured. Okay, so you had a guy with a gun wearing a mask, but nobody was able to find him? Or is it possible that they were just able to remove him quietly? I'm not sure, but you can let me know. I think these last couple pictures are a couple not so cryptic messages necessarily, but maybe messages not to us. But this is post 1413, and we have this picture of it looks like an older NASA space shuttle, and I think this is somewhere in California. But the picture is labeled X2, and the only thing I can think of the X2 is that Starbuster. Yeah, the Bell X2 Starbuster. That was about the only thing I could find, but let me know if you find something different. But this was the plane that broke the sound barrier and da-da-da-da. But I think what Q might be referencing is simply what happened to NASA themselves. And this is from post 438, sums it up really well. From back in December, 2011 shuttle program terminated by Hussein. U.S. loses space dominance. Iran nuke deal. North Korea nuke missile tech. SpaceX. NASA Tech 2. Well, it looks like that was all answered previously, right? HRC, SAP's private server, connected. Billions of dollars in the pockets. Eye of Ra, left eye. Marker, symbolism, evil, stupid, justice. Okay, so 2011, NASA gets crippled. All of a sudden we have the emergence of SpaceX and this Iran nuke deal. And of course North Korea starts to be able to develop nukes. Definitely connected, and it was doing so by lining millions and millions of dollars into the Clintons and other people's pockets to be able to pay to play, all for their little satanic hijinks. Let's move on to the next post. 1414. We have a picture here, and it's called Guardian P, and it's a picture of an owl. And Q just says Guardian of the Pope. Personal. Okay, where I, of course, think of Moloch. And if you don't know who Moloch is the biblical name of a Canaanite god associated with child sacrifice. The name of this deity is also sometimes spelled Molech, Milcom, or Malcolm. And I think there's some other names too. But I think the point is that it's some pretty satanic, creepy stuff, and that this is the real guardian of the Pope. Now, with this personal in brackets, I'm wondering if Q is basically saying that your security is no longer there. Remember, Q said the Pope was going to have a very terrible May. Let's take a look at that real quick. Pope will be having a terrible May. Those who backed him will be pushed into the light. Dark to light. Truth. So, could these insurance files, or whatever was coming out on this laptop, be showing who's been backing the Pope? But either way, we're getting into the latter stages of May. It sounds like Pope's going to be having a terrible, terrible May, and he's already gone on record and saying that he's going to be retiring. That's not normal. Usually popes live until they just do it until they die, right? And the previous Pope didn't do that either. Very strange. Now, post 1415, Q finishes saying, messages sent. And like I said, I think these are clear messages to not necessarily us, and I think we can kind of get the idea. But it looks like Q is likely talking to the cabal as they freak out on their phony phones. Those are your Q posts for today. I did my best. I'm feeling a little under the weather. We had a change in season this last couple of days, and so usually for the next 48 hours, everybody around my town is all sniffling and sneezing. So doing my best, but I hope that helped you. I hope that clears up a little bit. Let me know what you guys get, especially with some of these pictures. It's always hard to build stories off of just seeing pictures, but I'd love to see what you guys think. So as always, if you like this video, please click like, share, and or subscribe. And when you get unsubscribed, please just do it again, and I would greatly appreciate it. Until next time, this is Sir Patrick Mack. Stay safe.